Let's talk about tools, let's talk about these bags, and let's just discuss what we got going on here. I've been thinking about doing a video like this for quite some time, and I decided to go ahead and do it now. Now, I just recently received this from TruTech Tools. It finally came in the mail, and really looking forward to getting to use it. It is the Tech MCT bag. I've really been heavily looking at this bag for quite a while. What I like about it is this just tends to get big sometimes, and it's not always needed. And I have a very bad habit of overloading things in this bag, and I'm trying to get better at that. This is one thing that I've looked at trying to help improve that process. Now, one that I carried for a long time was this MB2. This is a fantastic bag, but my problems I ran into with it was it became too small. It just was, the more you get into doing this thing and the more you develop in this career and trade. I've had this bag for, man, probably 6-7 years. Anyway, I got to where I was always having to carry multiple bags just on regular service calls, and eventually that led to me upgrading to this bag, which again, it's done a fantastic job. I've had this bag for years, maybe, I don't know, maybe 3-4 years now. It has been a great bag. Well, something we all struggle with as a trade and as a whole is a lot of things like back problems and joint issues and stuff, and something that I want to be more vocal about is being better at those things, and not putting ourselves in a position where we're constantly hurting ourselves by what we're trying to carry every day. Well, I mean, this is one of my efforts in trying to see that through and make that happen. I want to continue doing this trade for a long time, and I'd like to see you do the same. Anyway, in the process, let's kind of talk about some of my tools, my choices. Honestly, there's things in here that I've had for a very, very long time, and I'm stubborn about them. I haven't done anything else with them. Believe me, there's better tools than what I have in here. But one definite big hitter for me is this is the Klein Demo Flathead. Now, specifically, it has a through metal shaft with a hammer tip on it. So this is specifically made for demolition, actually. It's a very good screwdriver. Highly recommend it. At the moment, we're just going to kind of place, and you're seeing kind of the process of I'm going to choose some things that's going to move over and it's going to live here now. Something I have done is this Klein backpack lives as my my hoses bag, and it does a great job for that. It's done really well, but I'm thinking, because of the form factor of this, I'm going to try to turn this into a hose bag and maybe turn this into something else in the process. I'll stop right there and kind of say I've got multiple bags with different setups depending on what I'm going to be doing. So this has been my daily carry service bag. This is my hoses bag, or I keep all my different hoses and things. And then off in there, I also have another really old, like 10 years old Klein backpack that I originally started with way back in the day, that I have turned into like my heavy mechanical bag, where I've got all my wrenches and things of that nature, right? That's kind of my process. That's my system. That's what I've developed, and it works pretty well for me. This is just the evolution of that process and trying to get those bags tuned in. Now, we can never forget the nylog. The nylog is a mandatory at all times, and I'm still getting a little familiar with this bag, but from what I can tell so far, it's got the same pockets from the looks of it. We've got two stretchy pockets here. We've got a normal pocket. We've got 4 screwdriver handles. Okay, these are not stretchy pockets. These are just regular pockets. Now, that's something I'm going to have to get accustomed to, and I'm going to have to think through is, how do I want to set this up to where it makes sense, so that I'm not constantly having to bounce between one side of the bag to the other. So what I'm thinking is, the hand tools I use all the time need to go on one side, and the things that I don't use all the time need to go on the other. Now, those can have a nice little cozy home there. I'm going to test those. Now, these are still the Gen 1s. What's crazy, I still wish I had a set of Gen 2s. The range on these really does get in the way, but that is okay. I've learned to live with it. I do heavily recommend, though, if you ever get a chance, these Testos are absolutely incredible. I know Phil Peace has done a lot to really improve their setup. in recent years. But one of the major things that prevented me from getting the fill piece to begin with was these clamps, and that's why I went with Testo in the first place. Now, since then, fill piece has come out with a different clamp that's actually made for larger pipe. So that's great. That's great. I'm still committed to the Testo setup because, well, that's what I'm invested in now. I'm already there. But having the ability to pull these sensors out and just tape it to any size pipe, no matter what I'm dealing with, is pretty great. Now, I'm thinking that other side, ooh, you know what? I need to make this side my other tools side and make this side my primary tools. And here's why. These little pouches here, I use these like crazy. That's gonna be, I'm gonna end up wanting to flip this around. And we've got more of these little pockets. I also use those clearly. So let's pause right there before I get too much further in. Again, I just love that big old flat head. It makes a really good pry as well. So you get in those situations where you need to pry something in a little bit, but you really don't want to break your other screwdrivers. It's a fantastic for accomplishing that fact. This thing is definitely new. It needs some breaking in. Needs some definite breaking in. All right. And I like that because it's just tall enough for that screwdriver without any trouble. Get these clamps, slide those clamps in. That fits real nice. I really like that. I really like that. All right, put that there. Let's see. I use these two all the time, and then this. So what I'm thinking, put the two shorties on the outsides. This is just a standard Klein, or Klein, adjustable wrench, or crescent wrench as most people know them. So this has been one, I forget where I got this, but regardless, I've had it for quite some time. Before this, I just had like a little cheap, it wasn't even Cobalt, like it was basically a non-branded adjustable wrench, and that got me by for many years. I've only had this one for a couple of years, honestly, but anyway, I still have that in a bag somewhere. I couldn't tell you which bag, but it's there. This is what, Task Force. I carry two of these. These are super handy. Again, they're just cheap. They're honestly just this side of disposable. Okay, this one's a Cobalt. They're nothing fancy. Again, I know Klein makes good versions of these. I've just never been required to make that investment. Now, again, these are just every day. Just about every time I open this bag, these are tools that I'm going to, without a doubt, end up using. These are so wonderful. I love these little channel lock. They're the small, what do they call them? The 426 channel locks. Absolutely great. Now, this bigger set here was one of the first tools I got whenever I started in HVAC full time. So I've had them, I guess, right at, or just over, I guess right at about 10 years now or so. Anyway, I had them for a really long time. The teeth are really wore down on them. I just refuse to replace them because they've been loyal to me. Now, this is a little bit of a newer one. I don't know that I'm going to transfer these over. I don't need two of these very often, and I think that's just extra weight. So this is an example of a tool where I'm probably going to leave it behind. I don't know. I'm going to go back and forth on these. These get me out of a pinch in really tough times. So what these are, I've had both of these for maybe about 5 years now or so. They have a newer version of this. It's a multi hex bit set. Everything flips around, does all kinds of sizes. This whole thing flips over. I'd be surprised if most of you hadn't already seen a version of this. This is one of the older versions. Like I said, I've had this for quite a few years. They do make one that has a 1/2 inch, which, believe me, you're going to want to buy the one with a 1/2 inch because it is stupid how much stuff is 1/2 inch, and then you try to pull this out and it doesn't fit. Very annoying. Regardless, they also make magnetic versions of these now, I highly recommend go ahead, spend a little bit extra money on the better version. Get the 1/2 inch with the magnetic. It is really going to save you. Now, the decision I need to make is this something I use so much that it needs to stay in the bag, this bag, or is it something where it can go and say like this bag where it only gets grabbed on occasion? And I'm kind of leaning towards that at the moment. Now you have this is the 15-in-1 HVAC edition multi-bit screwdriver. Let's see if I can get this open one-handed. Can I do it? Can I do it? Can I do it? This thing is an incredible tool. Quite a few of my technicians have seen me use this and now have them themselves. It's such a multifaceted tool, and it's very lightweight. So this gets me out of a pinch way more often in awkward spots than I think this does, honestly, because, well, man, I've got other bits and stuff. So I'm thinking this is probably going to go in a not everyday tool. Now this does come with a actual rubber cap up here. I've used this just a little bit, so it's got a little wear and tear. We're going to put that there. This is a extendable, well, it would give me fits on camera. Most of the time this thing just slides right out. Today, not so much. Gummit. There it goes. This is just a Home Depot Husky, but extremely effective. These are types of things that I do use very frequently. I will keep it here because I will genuinely use that. I keep a socket set on the other side, so we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, just a Husky adjustable ratcheting wrench. Really recommend this. I can't tell you how many times this has actually gotten me out of some pretty big binds, just because of, one, the swivel head. Now granted, it gets in the way just as much as it helps you, but having that adjustable handle just kind of extend out is big. Dykes can go up here. I got tools falling all over me. Get that out the way. I'm gonna put that in there. Service wrenches are a no-brainer. Those gotta go. We got a couple of small screwdrivers, find themselves new homes. This is a nice little tool. It's been really helpful, especially just taking some real quick measurements on site. You can get these. This is an Empire brand. I bought this at Home Depot. One of my technicians I saw using this, and it got us out of a pinch one day trying to take a measurement on something. And I was just sold on it from that point forward. I had to go get me one, and I'm not going back. Highly recommend that tool. It's like $10. Obviously, so this is your Klein, a little multi-bit thermostat screwdriver. Highly recommend this tool. This is specifically the 32581 model. So really good tool. I use that constantly. I do keep a couple of bits with me. Just these are the two probably most common ones. It's a 3/8 and a 1/4 inch, and I have some bit sets and things in the toolboxes, but you know, you have a tendency to have a hard time finding exactly what you need. I don't know. It's probably not that necessary. Actually, honestly, it's not that necessary to keep these separate. It's just something that I've done. Now, way down in here, you got Mr. Stubby. And Mr. Stubby here has been an absolute lifesaver in so many occasions. Just a literally Stubby multi is what Klein calls them. I absolutely love this little guy, and would recommend that for anybody's tool bag without a doubt. Now up here, we're going to make some decisions on this stuff, but I keep a handful. So this is the short Malco tip bit. That's a definite go. Man, this stuff is definitely brand new. Got to get it all broke in. All right. This is just a DeWalt 3/8 chuck, nothing fancy. I don't have the Malco 3/8 to 5/8 yet. It's something I do plan to invest in. This is just a 3/8 chuck for the impact drill that I have, so I can put my sockets on it. So just a really easy, simple, handy tool. Me and these pockets are gonna come to an understanding. All right, and then we've got just a standard. I keep packs of these in my truck because I wear them out and go through them, but these are things that, you know, we do frequently run into. Just really handy to have. Get your butt in there. And then a T25 Torx bit. There's a lot of newer equipment coming out that has those T25s in it. Again, why they choose to use something like that, don't ask me, but we got to deal with it. Now this is the Blue Monster. I don't have a ton of major preferences when it comes to Teflon. This Blue Monster is specifically intended for water pipe. So, I don't know. It's Blue Monster is a very good brand. I do like using it. I've had great results with it. This is going to go back here for sure. So it's one I can, without question, recommend using, but it is not everything. Now this is just one of my old stubbies, Yellow Jacket. I do highly recommend for those who are looking for getting set up in the tray, especially doing just regular service calls, PMs. I haven't used a set of manifolds like on a daily carry in probably 5-6 years. What I used, and you heard me talk about my hose bag earlier. It's literally a bag. I keep a set of hoses here in the front pouch, and there's another set of refrigerant hoses in the back pouch of different lengths. I have different fittings, and with all of my equipment, I use ball valves and T's and connectors to hook everything up. I don't go through manifolds for charging, for recovery, for my vacuum. If you want to count the MagnaFlow manifold as a manifold, then that's the only consistent manifold I actually use at this point in my life. Regardless, this is what I used for a long time before I got the Testos. Now that I have the Testos, these are just kind of extra things in my bag, only get used on occasion. But highly recommend you buy these two pieces separately, and they're the definite, so useful of a tool. I do have some extra batteries that have been hiding in there. It's interesting. I need to do something with those. All right, let's come in here. This bag is absolutely filthy. Ooh, hang on. I was looking for that. I was wondering where that went. Well, there it is. This is something I do keep in this bag. It can go on the back as a not all the time tool. And actually, you know what? I kind of like that. See, these pockets aren't as deep as some of these others that I've used. Yeah, see, some of these are super deep. These aren't as deep in here. And so that actually sits right there. Or one of the annoying things I've had happen with this bag is I'll stick that in one of those pockets, and that will slip down inside the pocket, and it'll make it a pain to get back out. I get the needle nose or something to grab them and pull them. I didn't have that problem with that. And it's not that, anyway, I like that. Tape measure. Tape measure has definitely got to go. That is something I just use way too much. That's a nice clip. Kind of, I guess that's about the same, yeah. Klein just makes, VETO. These are all VETOs. Sorry, VETO, didn't mean to do that. But VETO makes just fantastic bags. I will agree with that all day long. Alright, so Milwaukee Sharpie, fantastic Sharpies. This is my little inspection mirror. I've had this mirror, honestly, I've had this mirror for, I think, 8 years. I've had it for a very long time. It's been a very good mirror. Yeah, I like it. Now, I keep these little files for just all kinds of just random good uses. This one is wore the heck out. And these are just little cheap throwaway files you can buy at Home Depot. I buy the little packs of them, and I will get, a handful of uses out of them. And then they're done, they're wore out, go throw them away, trash them, and it's no big deal. You can just replace it. Anyway, I do really, really enjoy having those files. I'm not really sure. I'm thinking, yeah, we're going to try that. Let's see. Electrical tape. I'll move that in a bit. That ain't nothing fancy. Piece of just stuffed in there. Okay. All right. that covers this side of the bag. Now it does not cover the pouches here, but we can get to that in a minute. Let's flip this around. Thermometer. Thermometer definitely needs to go in the front section up here. Ooh, my other thermometer is in the truck here. Buddy bam. Let me put this in here. Forgot to put it up the other day. And the beater meter. I know, I will say it surprises me how little y'all actually talk about this meter. I know how much crap people tend to give about these. The guys I work with constantly talk about them, and that's okay. I don't have a problem with all the bad things y'all have to say about these. I really don't. I have much of the same problems with them myself. But what I love about this, let me rephrase that. What I'm okay with about this is it is a effective, cheap meter that if it broke tomorrow, I genuinely don't care. Like, it doesn't hurt my feelings for this thing to break because it's easy to replace. But it has all of the basic functions from microamps to milliamps to, the ohms, microfarads, everything on a basic level that I would ever dream of, it has. And that's all I want it to do. And a lot of other meters, especially very expensive brands, one that starts with like an F, doesn't do that. They don't have a meter like this that does that. And you have to have multiple meters that do multiple things, or you're spending hundreds of dollars on a meter that now I'm terrified if something crazy happens, like, I don't know, drop off of a building or get rained on because, well, you got to suck it up and deal with the rain sometimes. Anything like that, that would bother me. Thank you, UEI, for making something that's good enough to do the job, while still, if I break it, I really don't care because you make it cheap enough. Anyway, that's going to live back here probably because it's a routine grab item, but it's not all the time. All right, electrical connectors, those can fit back here, I believe, as well. Now here's my metric socket set. That'll go in the back. I'll work on that in a minute. Let's see. So this is part of the whole manifoldless system that makes it all work and jive and flow well. So I keep these three in my bag. I can take and put the testo probes on these, hook them up to the system, whatever I got to do. Whenever I'm charging or recovering, anything of that nature. If I'm not going through the which most of the time I do go through the Appion core removers. If I'm not using that at the time, I got these to do the job. It's just, it works. It works. I'm going to need to take a minute. So I'm going to kind of lay out up here what I know I'm going to want to grab and deal with the rest. So I'm thinking, I used to use these all the stinking time, but I just don't use them as much as I used to. With what I see on a daily basis, it's just not the same. Water key. I almost never use that water key. Again, this is a tool to get you out of a major pinch when you need it, but that's not something I think I'm going to put in this bag. Again, useful. It's a bunch of like grommets and Schrader cores and things. So useful, not a daily item. Got some wire. I needed to clean this bag anyway, if you couldn't tell. It's just got a whole bunch of random nonsense in it. So all my standard fitting or sockets are in there. I will end up transferring those over. I just got a bunch of caps and stuff in there. The caps I will move over, those I will not. Alright, so the caps are going to go, I think I'm going to put the caps in here. This looks like a nice little home for them. What do you think? And I'm really curious, as I go through this and, as I'm going through this process, tell me your comments, tell me your thoughts, your opinions. How would you suggest I do some of this stuff? I'm curious to get other input. I don't think I have anything in here. Yeah, I've had this set of Allen wrenches in here for quite some time, and the whole thing just kind of falls apart basically at this point. I'm gonna take those. I've got a legitimate big set that I keep in a separate bag, so that's one of my little specialty bags that I have of just Allen wrenches, but I am not going to put that in my daily. There's just a little wire. There's some fitting connectors for the meter. Not going to worry about those. That's basically it, honestly. Okay. All right, we're doing good. No, this is exciting. This makes me happy because I'm really taking some serious weight out of this bag. So I'm thinking these can go in there. I'm thinking. That way, whenever I need them, I just reach in, grab them. They're all in a contained spot. I don't know. Which one is better? We'll just leave it. All right. I'm not going to spend that much time on it. In terms of up here, these bad boys, I think, let's put the valve down. Let's just kind of tuck those into the side over here. Everything has a place, everything has a purpose, everything has a function. This can go over here. You know something I'm realizing I don't see? Where is my torpedo level? So I used to keep a torpedo level. Obviously, I don't need it in here because I so rarely use it. But it's occurring to me that I used to do that at one point in time, and it is not there. Tell you what, we're gonna slide these Allens in there. Yeah. A lot of this is just gonna be, let's get it in there, let's get some sort of flow happening, and then we will piece together the rest as I go. Let the rest of it be a little more organic. That actually fits pretty good. So that kind of leaves me thinking maybe I keep this, because I mean almost every call I go on I'm pulling my meter out, so it makes sense to have my meter up here. So I'm thinking maybe do that. This goes back here, meter up here, and that. So one, the bag itself is considerably lighter in actual weight, and then two, I really reduce, and I'm forcing myself. That's the thing about it, is if you have a big bag to begin with, you can think, oh, okay, because I've done this, I'll have a bigger bag. I'll be careful not to put that much stuff in it. I just won't have that much in there. I'm telling you, it's just, and don't trick yourself into believing that, because you're wrong. You're going to do that. You're gonna put way too much stuff in there, and it's gonna be so heavy that you're gonna need to see a chiropractor for the rest of your life, and you're gonna be also at some point down the road with a fuse back and everything else. Part of my point and the message behind this, guys, is I want you to really think about how you're treating your body with what you're carrying and doing every day. Because it is very easy in this trade to treat yourself in such a way to where by the time you're hitting 10, 15, 20 years into this trade, your body's already breaking down to the point it's not going to function the same way anymore. You're not going to be able to do your work the same way anymore. So anyway, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, but I really want y'all to think about this kind of stuff. Now, this is my daily carry stuff. These I didn't really talk about. I buy these on Amazon. Super easy to replace. They're cheap. You can buy them as a set. Anything else I did? Trying to see. Part of my goal too for this video is I just wanted to let you see what's actually in my bag on a daily basis. What are things that I carry? Oh, I did not talk about. So these are the Klein multi shoot, what do they call them? The multi needle nose. So they've got wire strippers, they've got a crimp tool. They are still a broad nose needle nose. They're not a fine tip, which I need the broad nose way more than the fine tips. The fine tips I tend to tear up and break and bend and do all kinds of really mean stuff to. This broad nose has done a very good job of handling the stress that I put on them. So this has been incredible, and I personally am very big on having a multi-tool setup, a tool that it's one tool for 5 jobs, right? It's a big thing for me now. For a while, that's where this, multi-bit screwdriver played a big hand, and I did not have a separate actual Phillips, Klein Phillips and a Klein flathead. The caveat there, and the reason I ended up going back to that, is the tips in these, especially the flatheads most of all, but even the Phillips tips, tend to wear out and break, and Klein does not offer warranty on those tips. They are considered disposable. So I ended up, after going through enough of those, went back to regular Phillips, regular flathead, and I've just stuck with that. This is specifically used for when I have very unique bit sizes that I have to have or figure out. It has very specific applications, but it gets used pretty frequently nowadays. So basically, this bag, I'm going to take all of the hoses that I have, and I will pull these, and I'm going to fit this bag out to be my hose bag. So if I'm doing charging, if I'm doing recovery, if I'm transferring refrigerants, whatever I'm doing with refrigerants short of vacuums, that's where this bag will come into play. And I will recommission that bag to a different function. Now I have the big, briefcase style Appion bag for all my vacuum setup, and I keep everything in there. So that's going to stay that. This will have a separate purpose, that I can grab, and I know where all that stuff is for that specific work because, well, it's right here. All my little stubby gauges, it'll live here. So that'll be that. This will strictly be a service call / minor repair kind of bag, if you will. It's something, it's smaller, it's easier to manage, you can keep up with it, it's not as big of a deal. Another video that I've thought about doing, I'm really interested to get your input on, is like a full truck load out video. I mean, I know a lot of people do those. I've thought about doing it in such a way that it makes it interesting is what I'm not sure about, and just, is that really worth the whatevers to actually doing it? I don't know. I mean, you tell me. Is that something you'd even care to see? Would you care to listen to me ramble on about all my various tools and how I load it out and what I use here, what I use there? Does that interest you? If not, great. Tell me. If it does, wonderful. I'd love to hear your input on it. Anyway, just let me know. MTT, guys, take care of your family. Spend the time with your spouse, with your kids. They really, really need you. Honestly, I was going to have the kiddos out here doing this with me today, but they ended up having to go down for a nap, and sunlight here is getting really, the days are getting shorter. There it is. All right. Regardless, put the time in. MTT, make the time for your family, with your family, as a family. Other than that, I do have a store I'm working on. It's not quite ready to launch. I'm hoping maybe by the end of November, sometime December, I'll actually be able to launch a whole new website. It's going to be really basic in the beginning. This nice hat here, everybody's had a great response to it. I personally have absolutely loved it. I've been wearing it since it came in the mail a week ago. And yeah, it's been incredible. It is Richardson brand. So I'm looking forward to this new site, and it's been a ton of work going into it. I haven't talked about it because it's been in the works for quite a while. But I wanted to do it right. I wanted to do it well, and it's going to be, it is what it is. Regardless, hope you enjoyed this. YouTube says you're going to enjoy this video. I hope you do. Hope you stick around. Hope you really enjoyed this channel. And I will see you guys on the next one.